Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and let's get this morning started right. I like this, pump it XRP. This is showing a ton of green. XRP has been one of the only ones that's really been showing a bunch of green, and 90-day, look at that, 35.42%. So it got as high as I think 52 cents, and now pulled back a little bit. Anyway, so I decided this morning that I would do a little poll, because as I've told you, I believe this case is over for a bunch of reasons. Not any one, not because Brad Garlinghouse liked my tweet or all that. I believe it's over for 10 to 15 reasons. Okay, apparently, let's do a refresh here. Apparently, right at 70% of people think it's over. Let's look at some of the reasons they think it's over. Here, I saw one that I liked. Right here, I like this one. Clue 2 was when he agreed to be seen on stage with John Deaton. Well, I think I told that story on this channel, but when we were at XRP Las Vegas, I asked John Deaton if he wanted to take a picture with Brad, and he said, well, that depends on what Brad thinks. And so I walked over to Brad, whispered in his ear, I said, is it a legal move for you to take a picture with John Deaton? He said, sure, bring him over. So I went and brought him over, and they took a picture together. And that's literally how it happened. I guess John Deaton was completely uncertain as to whether that would be okay. And but I don't necessarily, this isn't necessarily one of my reasons. Maybe that it could be it. Maybe they wouldn't have taken a picture if it was over. But I think it's over. Now, Ashley Prosper's over the target right here with reasons that she thinks it's over, I think. So Brad says case ending in weeks, not months. Hinman docs come out on June 13th. Brad likes Digital Asset Investor tweet about case being over. Disney Elemental comes out June 16th featuring fire and water characters named Ember Lumen, I'll show you that in a minute, and Brooke Ripple, and then I think it's Wade Ripple. Then David Schwartz says Ripple has water and Amazon has fire. Videos surface of Google Assistant saying XRP price unavailable after June 13th. Ripple acquires Metacode. NASDAQ congratulates Ripple. XRP price climbs. Ripple's on-demand liquidity partner, Tranglo, partners with Al Ansari Exchange, the UAE's largest outward personal remittance, and Ripple launches CBDC platform. Doesn't sound like a company that's about to lose a lawsuit and disappear anytime soon. All we need now is for Jim Cramer to come out and say the Ripple case will never end in June. I mean, now all the stuff she says here is kind of parts of the recipe, but I'm telling you, it's not the only reasons. I mean, I told you yesterday, there's other reasons, and some of them I can't talk about. I mean, some of them I can't talk about. That's all I'm gonna say. Breaking U.S. credit card debt reaches $1 trillion. That is a freaking mess, folks. And we are literally in a place, there's a reason central banks are buying gold at a record pace. What does that mean for inflation? Well, they're buying gold while they're letting you think that Bitcoin's okay. You know, don't you find it interesting that the anti-crypto people in government, Gary Gensler, Elizabeth Warren, okay, those people, they don't, from what I can tell, they're fine with Bitcoin. And we know the government knows about who created Bitcoin. Why are they fine with Bitcoin? I've always believed one of the reasons that, I think a government, I don't know which one, but a government created Bitcoin. One of the reasons that I think that it was created was so that when we all lost faith, remember the financial crisis, when we all lost faith in this joke fiat system, that there would be a place for all of us to run that we would think is this thing like gold, but it was really just herding us into the system controlled by the same bad guys that created the fiat system, and Bitcoin would be the conduit. That's what I've always felt, one of the reasons that they did it. The other is to catch bad guys. But why is Gary so okay with Bitcoin when he supposedly doesn't know who Satoshi is? Not in a million years would an SEC chair sit there and endorse, oh yeah, we think this is a commodity. We're going to give that a designation, not knowing if North Korea created it or a terrorist group in a cave or whatever. We're just going to put our names on the line and risk our reputations and our careers just to say that. It wouldn't happen. There's a reason that the bad guys keep telling you Bitcoin's okay. Well, central banks are buying gold. That's their buddies. Central banks are buying gold, and I have a gold sponsor who's given me a referral code. Glint is where you can buy gold and you can have a debit MasterCard so that it's spendable gold. The link's in the top of the description. If you use this code, DAIV50, get 50% off vaulting and insurance fees for the next 12 months. This is going to be valid until the 14th of July, so you might want to get on the stick. All right, look what the official cool guy of the digital asset investor has gone far. He is now starting a Trumer's Twitter live show that he does, and I'm assuming he's going to do it every 8 o'clock on Wednesday, but tonight he's doing it. Today is Wednesday, right? The older you get, the more and the closer your kids get to being out on their own, you don't pay attention to days and dates as much. I was talking to somebody the other day who was retired, and they were asking me what day of the week it was. I was like, well, that's the only reason I know the days of the week is because I have to take my kids to all this stuff. Full-time job. But anyway, so Trumer's Only is tonight. That's it. This is his first episode. He's going to have Ray Fuentes from Link2 on. I hope Ray has interviewed and met with a lot of big people in the crypto industry. It'll be interesting to see what Ray has to say. I may tune into that one myself. Okay, and then we got this. The SEC just entered this is that case, Wahi, where the SEC sued a couple of guys for insider trading that had used to work at Coinbase. But what's interesting here is, this was considered to be a layup case for the SEC because these are two guys who can't fight back. It's the SEC's favorite case. Something where the guys don't have the wherewithal to fight back an institution with unlimited money. SEC just entered a proposed settlement in their case against Ishan Wahi, the former Coinbase employee, which is a complete surrender and shows the weakness in SEC's theories about secondary market. The backdrop to this, folks, is John Deaton said it from the beginning. The SEC knows that XRP itself is not a security, and they know that XRP in the secondary market is not a security. And so they filed cases like this that they thought would be easy wins so that they could get a win that makes it look like those things that are not true are true, because these people are not honest. And then it talks about how the Wahi attorneys started to fight them, and then SEC settled. And it says, in other words, SEC completely folded when faced with a spirited defense, pushing back on their claims that tokens trading in the secondary markets were securities. Then we've got, now here's what was referenced by Ashley Prosper in that tweet earlier. It's Wade Ripple and Ember Lumens. And this movie is being released on, let me make sure I follow that. This movie is being released on June 16th. I think June's going to be a really good month for. Let me make. I don't make predictions, but I'll predict for you, June. Great month. June prediction. I predict June is going to be a great month, and I'm not a bear. I'm not a riddler. I don't make predictions, but I just have this feeling that June could be our month. So then there was this. So Elemental's the name of this movie. Wade Ripple and Ember Lumen. Ember and Wade live in a bustling Bayside city connected by bridges. Imagine that, folks. I mean, this kind of stuff reeks of like maybe Ripple, the company, pay. I'm assuming that, I don't know how this works, but I'm assuming in movies when they do placement of products and services, I'm assuming people can pay to have their product or service, like a Coca-Cola in a scene or something. I'm assuming probably the greatest example I can remember of this had to be what happened is in the movie E.T. I don't think anybody had heard of Reese's Pieces before E.T. when they gave them the Reese's Pieces. I think that movie literally made the brand. So I always wondered if they paid for that placement. I'm assuming they do. XRP trading pairs now available on Fulcrum Finance, which I've never heard of. Trade, swap, supply. I'm not vouching in any way for that platform. I'm just telling you that they announced an XRP listing trading pair. Hong Kong and UAE are working together on a crypto framework. While we get Gary Gensler and Elizabeth Warren, they get crypto frameworks. A bunch of old codgers that are determined to protect the incumbents. A bunch of people that are almost like communists, and that Sherman weasel. All right, speaking of those people, many of you may remember that Bill Hinman back April 26, 2018, was at an oversight hearing for the Division of Corporate Finance. I went back and looked at it, and this is one of the clips from that hearing. Watch this.
Why aren't you stopping all the ICOs, which are clearly unregulated investments?
So when I talked about taking a balanced approach, what we are trying to do is recognize this new technology, specifically the blockchain technology that underlies it, may have some promise.
Oh, I'm not saying ban blockchain, just ban the ICOs.
Okay. Some folks are finding that the
He couldn't do that because all the ICOs were built on Ethereum. And he was literally a few weeks away from giving Ethereum a free pass.
Instrument allows for a different type of enterprise, one that's more decentralized, and which they think has some value. We are
charlatans and scammers have always favored decentralized new enterprises. I yield back.
Okay. Now, I want to bring something to your attention. So first, this happens on April 26th of 2018. Hinman's he already has the safe harbor memo, which he got from Lowell Ness, Andreessen Horowitz attorney. Safe harbor memo is what inspired the Hinman speech. They all wanted Ethereum to have a free pass. Ethereum's the only digital asset mentioned in the safe harbor. The safe harbor memo he's already got it. He's already met with the Ethereum investors lobbying for a free pass. And according to Brian Costello, and this is in the last few days, Brian Costello kind of made me aware of this in some of my tweets. He said that the filing of the Ripple lawsuit and the Ethereum free pass are two separate things. He said in so many words, don't quote me, but he said in so many words that the reason Jay Clayton and Bill Hinman did the Ethereum free pass was for two reasons. One, money making. Their law firms were Enterprise Ethereum Alliance and all that. Their friends, Andreessen Horowitz and all of that, there's going to be money making and all of that. But two, they had China connections, people that were trying to do IP proof of work, mining IPOs, Canaan, okay? So what, according to Brian Costello, then fast forward a couple of years, and Hinman and Clayton, or at least Hinman, but I think Hinman and Clayton were worried about Elizabeth Warren and friends, I guess the Brad Shermans and the Gary Genslers, were worried about them coming after those guys because of what they did with the Ethereum free pass for money and for China. And filing the Ripple lawsuit was, here, we'll file the Ripple lawsuit, and in return, you don't investigate us for what we did with the Ethereum free pass. If you remember, Gary Gensler met with Jay Clayton literally, I think, the day before the lawsuit was filed. It was either the day before or the day after, but he was right there, okay? And we know that Gary Gensler is Elizabeth Warren's toady, okay? We know that. So let's show you John Deaton's timeline before you go. So remember, this happens on April 26th. So let's look at what happens around it. March 26th, Perkins Coie sends the Hinman the memo and the safe harbor proposal. The only crypto asset mentioned in the safe harbor is Ethereum. March 28th, Ether investors meet secretly with Hinman asking for a regulatory free pass. This is the the thing where Brad Burnham from Union Square Ventures gave the presentation. Nancy Wotos was talking about how great the presentation was. Then on April 19th, the meeting is leaked, and Nathaniel Popper reports Ether investors seeking a non-security designation from the SEC. April 23rd, 2018, Gary Gensler comes out in that New York Times article. See, this is where Gary Gensler's involved, folks. This is where you can tell. I'm literally, as I'm talking to you, finally piecing together. I always wondered, why did Gary Gensler come out in the middle of all of that? Why did Gary Gensler come out in the middle of all of that in the New York Times and say that he thought Ripple and Ethereum were securities? So now it all makes sense. On April 19th, it leaks that the Ethereum investors are trying to get their free pass, okay? So obviously what happened here is Elizabeth Warren must have caught wind of this from this article, and she and her Democrat friends do not want crypto to survive. So she tells Gary, says, Gary, look, this is what has to have happened. Says, Gary, because he comes out of nowhere. He's a retired CFTC guy. He's working at MIT. Comes out of nowhere and goes in the New York Times and comments that Ripple and Ethereum, he thinks Ripple and Ethereum are securities. But he said, but Bitcoin's not, okay? So there's somehow, these people are somehow wanting Bitcoin to thrive and nothing else. The Warren, Gensler, and all of them. And then on April 23, SEC meets again with Lubin and Consensus. And then May 10th, that's the video that Charles Gasparino, where he says he's meeting with them. And then as you go towards June 14th, this is when the Hinman speech is. But now it literally just came together in my mind. I always wondered, why did Gary Gensler come out of nowhere on April 23rd, 2018? I had never even heard of the guy. I remember seeing it because I remember covering it in a video. Going, why is this guy coming out of nowhere to just throw a grenade out there that Ethereum and Bitcoin are not securities? Now what Brian Costello is saying makes sense. That the Ethereum free pass, Warren and her friends did not want Ethereum to get a free pass. And when they saw Hinman do it, they must have decided, hey, okay, you're going to give Ethereum a free pass, we're going to do an investigation. And Jay Clayton and Hinman, that makes perfect sense what Brian Costello is saying now. That Jay Clayton and Hinman then turned around and filed the lawsuit as a peace symbol to Elizabeth Warren. We'll file the lawsuit if you don't investigate us. So that means that the digital asset investor now has to harp, which I will begin doing today, on Elizabeth, why did you not investigate Clayton and them? Was it because you wanted them to file the Ripple lawsuit? That tweet's coming as soon as I finish this video. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that this Elizabeth Warren is a bad, bad person, and she doesn't belong anywhere near our government. And neither does Gary Gensler. These people have got to go. Where are the good guys? Congress, you got to get ruthless. Good guys.